Hello, and welcome to the Dusk Hollow Hermitage. It's just going to be a little walkthrough tour for those who haven't seen the property since we moved in or haven't been out recently to see what we've been doing. I'm just going to do a little walkthrough, just kind of tell you about the place. There's one of our chickens. That's Leia. Let's zoom in a little bit. Yeah, there she is. She's a Buff Orpington. We got some younger ones in there. Oh, I didn't even notice. There's Ricky and Miss Lucy, the ducks. Ricky was here when we moved in. Oh, Soka just came into frame. That's Egg Soka and Princess Leia, by the way. I thank my wife and son for those jokes. And the Ricky and Lucy, because they just wah, 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 wah all the time. But Ricky and his brother, who was a mallard patterned like him, but like a khaki color scheme. And not a month or so ago, I'd say, Lucian, we thought it was because of his coloration that it was a female, but we were later told that no, it was a male. So we had initially called him Ricky and Lucy, but he had started doing this weird thing with his neck where he pulled it back, and for a couple days, and then we just found him dead in the water, so we don't know really what happened to him. But we connected with another farm nearby that gave us this Lucy, so one of her ducks, and also made an interesting connection with that. Oh, that chair, by the way, was like my great-grandparents'. It's crazy. Yeah, but Lucy has adapted well, and Ricky is very protective of her. It's very cute. They have an adorable little relationship, and they're very talkative. But, yeah, so our pond is down, as you can see. We had a drought for a number of weeks, and even this rain that's been coming through has barely been hitting us here. We'll get a couple deluges, but they don't last long enough, so hopefully we're going to be getting more rain here and fill it back up. It's only about 5 feet deep right now, so that means at maximum, previous maximum, I've dammed it up a little bit more, so hopefully the water level can rise up a bit, because otherwise it's about 7 foot, I guess. But it is stocked with catfish and brim and other little fishes, and it's got turtles, and the frogs go crazy at night out here. It's just gorgeous. It's wonderful. Definitely not something to swim in, but it is fruitful. So yeah. And then the barn over there, we'll go walk through that later. You can see the little metal chairs that were here that were left. They also left us things like junk piles. But there's also little things like the old duck breeder. So yeah, so we'll go over that way. We'll just keep walking over here. There's beautiful root systems, and then this is the most massive tree here on the property. We call it tree beard for obvious reasons. It's, majestic. This one's got a beautiful shape to it as well. It's a type of willow, I believe. All right, so yeah, just cleared off that brush pile last weekend. You can see that there's some red berries there on the blackberry bush. And so I cleared all this stuff out over here because all of that is blackberries as well. Okay, but it had all these other vines and stuff, and I've still got to touch it up. But as you can see, the blackberries here are rather happy. This one has been just going nuts the past few days. The rain really brought it back to life. I'm going to be triaging this section, triaging the trees, clearing out a little bit of a path, but also working my way up to the muscadine vines that are all up in the branches. If you're wondering about this, I was in a wreck the other day. Everybody's okay, but I got burnt, like 2nd-degree burns from the airbag, and so it's bandaged up. Just thought there might be a question about that. Anyway, yeah, there's muscadine vines all in through there, and so I got to get up in there and pull them down so we can like run them across a trellis or something like that. And this was all here when we moved in at New Year's. So you can see down into the hollow here. And we call it Dusk Hollow, not only because it sounds freaking cool, but the sun rises right over here. And it sets right over there. So it just goes right over the top of us. And as you can see, it's very good for all the life here. Even in the midst of a drought, like, it was doing rather well. And yeah, and obviously we're out a little bit, not too far away from the city, but enough to where it counts. You can see that there's plenty of trash pickup still to do from the previous tenants. There's a lot of mess, but we're making headway. You know, I'll bring a 5-gallon bucket out from time to time and scoop it out. This is the gray water, though. We're trying to figure this out because they were running the gray water to that pipe over there, and it was going down into the freaking pond. I have no idea why somebody would do that. And we thought we were on city, but we're not. So we were trying to figure that out. But we ran the pipe so that it at least runs down into the hollow and not into the pond. So yeah, it's just gray water. We use mostly natural soaps and such, so you know, it is what it is. You gotta, whatever. We're not gonna stay that way. This is one of the blueberry bushes. This one's been with us for a few years at the other house and never so much as flowered. And look at that, it's just so happy. That's another one. These came from my grandmother's garden in Alabama, where she's got huge bushes. So we've got these little buddies that are growing. All right, so we've got a bunch of things up on the front. I'm not going to walk you around the front of the house. Oh, good grief, camera. But I got some Rosa Sharons I've been tending for a few years, so I got them in there and they're happy. But then you come down, so this is the nice slope of the hollow. We've got patches where I'm letting wild growth go because there's a lot of wild flowers and such over there. And then we mow down certain things. You'll notice random patches of this. I just mowed recently, so it still looks a bit blocky, but I love this type of clover. I have wanted some in my yard for years. I've tried transplanting it, never worked, and it's all over the place, so I'm very excited about that. Oh, that tree has berries. I need to identify that later. It's not a berry I recognize immediately, so yeah, all right, cool. There's mulberry trees here. One of them is producing. I'll walk you around to it in a second. Yeah, you can see there's patches of the purple clover here and here mixed in with the regular clover. But it's a gorgeous, like if you've never seen it, it's really pretty because the flowers grow out of the thing. So a lot of times you'll have these like six, see, it's like 6 things, 3 leaves there, 3 leaves there, with the flower growing out of the center. And then sometimes it'll do a cross, which is I think where the Rosicrucians got their inspiration from. It's hard to find. It's essentially like a 4-leaf clover of these things, but you can notice, see, there's like the, ooh, come on now, the 3 leaves there and the 3 leaves there. But we won't spend a whole lot of time looking at clover. Yeah, so there's a kind of growth right here. I'll keep it kind of low there. A lot of these were more arid plants. They seemed, there's a good bit of it. Come over to these. Yeah, a couple of them are blooming. It's these really pretty yellow flowers, but they've got these little spiny things. You can see there's a whole mess of them over here. Oh shoot. See, we put out some flower seed when we first moved in, but I thought a lot of it got killed by the snap frost that we had. But here's some of them. Oh my gosh, this is gorgeous. Yeah, I'm nerding out over flowers and I don't care. It's gorgeous. Yeah. So all this is growing up, just letting it kind of do its thing and just be, as my wife said, I want something to be pretty as people drive by, just see a little field of flowers. But also have it navigable. You can see the difference in depth where I did different blade lengths, like all the way around, so you could walk around it, but you know, still allow stuff to just kind of go. There's obviously a lot of pollinators around here, I mean, these are the only pines on the whole property. Actually, I take that back. There might be some on the other end over there. But they're obviously doing well. And all that on the bottom right there, the main stuff at the bottom is blackberry. It's not really fruiting right now. I guess it's because of the shade, but it's taken over all over here. I got to get the poison ivy and the Virginia creeper. If you don't know what Virginia creeper is, that's it growing up the tree there. So that 5-leaved thing right there. Yeah, there's some leaves right there on the ground. Those. And what's crazy is they look strangely like those, which are blackberries. So they'll grow in there and you have to kind of weed them out. But you can break out in that, similar to poison ivy. My wife's actually not allergic to poison ivy, which there's some right there, if you don't know what it looks like. That's it, a bit bigger, you can see there, yeah. Got to cut this back again. I cut the main vines on all the trees a few weeks back, so they're kind of coming back. And yeah, that's a whole mess of poison ivy right there. There's a little bit of blackberry, but it's not worth saving. I'm going to save that over there and then mow this the next round I do. We had to get chains for the tires because of this hill. It could not get up past like this point where I'm pointing without these chains. But so we ran it, but in that time frame, all these big stalk things had come up, and you know they kind of bow down under the blade and get missed. So we just got a gas-powered weed eater. We had an electric one, but the gas-powered one, we're gonna have to come and do a sweep and get those. We are under the impression that these are elderberry plants, and there are many uses for such things. So if it turns out to be true after they completely fruit, that's going to be fun. All right, so this is the mulberry tree that we just discovered like a week or two ago, but it's fruiting, as you can see. Ooh, that's a good one. There we go. Hello. Oh my God, it's so good. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna clear out in there. See, there are 3 of them growing in there together, but that's muscadine vine right here. It's growing up. We've got these beautiful dead trees over here too, and they're far enough away from the house to where we're just gonna let them, you know, do their thing. But I do want to get all that muscadine off of that one. And the other one's got trumpet vine growing all up it. Got to get all this privet hedge out of here. There's a little bit of it in some places that I might keep, but I don't know for sure. I saved that spot of clover specifically because if you'll notice as we're getting up, I don't know how well it's going to translate, but there's impressions because we've seen some deer out here, and I think the deer come out here at night and lay in this clover down here in this particular patch. So I kept that there. So yeah, I'm gonna clear this area out and probably end up making like a little bench area, a little reading area under the shade of that. And then these are the blackberries up here, and where I've cleared this off. So this is all gonna go, you know, go down. And then that's all blackberries going along that. And then it goes back up to the house, obviously. Yeah, see there they are, look at that. Isn't it pretty? Ooh, man, there's some big ones. And you just walk up the hill there, back up to the pond. And so you can see the other little part down there. We will go down there, and there's more blackberries. They're everywhere. And they're all growing at different rates and stuff because of the difference in locales. Here's where we've made the dam, because this was a trickle down. And so it took a while to get it to where it wasn't leaking, and maybe the drought helped that solidify a little more. Oh yeah, there's like what is it? It's either passion flower or dragon fruit or something like that. I forget what it is. It's growing naturally here. My wife was so excited. She had bought some seeds, but we found it the other day. It was blooming, and we're like, oh wow. So yeah. You can see all the movement down there. There's some little baby dragonflies. Saw them earlier. A little copper looking colored. More blackberries. Oh gosh, I didn't even know about those. Holy crap, look at that. Look at that. That's crazy. That's all right. Thanks for helping me find more food, y'all. All right. I guess we'll hit this and then we'll do the loop down. So you can see down, that's the little amphitheater. We'll go down there, a little fire pit and stuff. And these trails, you can kind of make out a little bit of them. But I'm going to line them with like fallen limbs and such to actually make a definition for them. Not just to get the mower through and to walk through, but I'm also in the process of building my son a go-kart, a little roll cage go-kart. And so we're gonna do that on there. You can see the difference in definition here, like the 6 blade, and then one there if you care, which you probably don't. Got the burn barrels we're gonna have to get out of here because they're all rusted and open. That's the junk pile they left, one of the junk piles they left us. But the barn is actually mostly stable. It's got some trumpet vine up there. It's real pretty, but we've got to assess whether it's damaging the structure. But everything's pretty usable. It's just, you know, in disrepair. That's where a tree fell a few months ago, and kept having issues with the chainsaw, and so that put it off. And now I've got to get another one, but apparently that's happening for Father's Day, so should be fun. Should be able to get that taken care of. And yeah. Walking through here, yeah, I kept a bunch of that wild growth. You can see all that tall green out there. Actually, I did trim it down over here. It's just gorgeous. Like, just the difference in color tones, and then these are the flowers that are growing on them. So it's really, really nice. I like it a lot. Yeah, back there, I guess I'm not going to walk around. But there's a coop back here. And there's compost that we're starting back over there. It's overgrown. But then we're going to redo the support in that structure on this end and make that a goat pen. And then we got to reinforce and repair the roof and clean that one out. And we'll have other chickens down here. Right now we've got 10 hens and a rooster. Only 4 of them are laying right now. The rest of them will be hopefully of age in the next couple months. And yeah, that'll be fun. And luckily our house dampens sound really well, so we don't hear the rooster crowing when we're inside the house. It's delightful. So yeah, the fence line is where the property ends here. Oh God. Just look at that. That's just, yeah, this is every day. this is what I get to do. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, there are some pine trees kind of on the edges, but like I said, in the inner part of the property, there's not any. Oh God, we call this the poltergeist tree for hopefully obvious reasons. Just, I mean, it looks like a haunted house thing, and the branch the section of it had already fallen when we moved in. So it's nice and dried out, but once again, I got to get a working chainsaw and cut that the rest of the way up. I cleared this out the other day when I mowed these trails. I'm going to use all this and other parts to line, and parts of this to line these trails. You'll see down here where I've already started some of it, but the fence line goes there and then juts out, but it still is ours going all the way back. We're probably going to just leave that fenced in area as wild growth and just let it do whatever the hell it wants to. Might make a trail through it or something, but otherwise leave it alone and let it grow up higher than we do all this stuff. Like, I'm going to let these things grow up, and we'll keep stuff in check, and we'll probably also plant some things intentionally. But for the most part, we're just going to let these things be up as well. God, these trees. Look at that. Yeah, and we're going to rebuild my son's little castle that my dad and he and I made, and do some climby stuff on that and whatnot. I've got some ideas for some craziness as he gets older, maybe some zip lines. His idea was the zip line, and then my mind went crazy with like, well, we could make a small ropes course down through all those trees, and a little walk across ones where you just go across the section and it's a different thing. I was like, that could be a thing. Anyway, so yeah, that goes down to the amphitheater. Like I said, you can see the trail going up there to the pond, and then this one. So I made a double one. This is basically for the purposes of go-karting, so we've got a variety. So you can come down through there, you could split off and go down that way, turn and go up there, or go on down, or you could come down through these trails. So yeah, that's fun. This is a walking trail only that goes over to the amphitheater and then down to the front. So I'm probably going to make a couple more of these to kind of cut into some of these parts, so that are just walking paths. But yeah, so you can see how I'm lining the paths. And yeah, so like this fenced in area, it goes back to another fence back there. But like I said, probably going to keep that wild growth until we can figure this out. Oh, this is something that recently came to attention. This is something called touch-me-nots. And it apparently grows near poison ivy and is actually a remedy for poison ivy. And a friend just used it by rubbing the stems and stuff on some really bad poison ivy she had, and it worked. I had no idea of this remedy, and I'm highly allergic to it. So I'm going to use that in the future if I need to. Anyway, you can see there's a wooden fence here. Well, there used to be a dog kennel in there, and I can't get back in there right now, but you can actually get in through this little fenced in area right there. And there's like old abandoned like dog houses and stuff all laying up there. It's really, really interesting. I want to clear a path back in there and then clear it out a little bit and make a fun little space. Another random blackberry. And it's actually, look at it. It's happy, happy little thing. Look at them little tiny fat ones. Yeah, this is Dusk Hollow. The Dusk Hollow Hermitage. And yeah, thanks for going on a little tour. Hope you enjoyed what you saw. And yeah, catch you later. Peace.